Hello, welcome to the Curiosity Club. Today, let's step away from specific things and talk about an abstract way of thinking. This thinking method, known as first principles, is considered essential and powerful in the fields of science and philosophy. So, what is this thinking method? It's called first principles. First principles were initially proposed by the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle and are considered one of the most effective strategies for solving complex problems and generating original solutions. It can be said to be the best method for independent thinking and learning. It encourages people to break out of conventional thinking, start from scratch, and rethink problems, leading to innovative changes in life, career, and relationships. Before delving into the concept of first principles thinking, let's first look at a case. In 2002, Elon Musk began exploring the idea of sending rockets to the Mars, which ultimately led to the birth of the American aerospace manufacturer SpaceX. Soon after, he encountered a significant challenge. After visiting aerospace manufacturers worldwide, Musk found that the cost of purchasing a launch rocket was excessively high, up to $65 million. Faced with these high quotes, he began to re-examine the problem. "I prefer to approach problems with the concepts of physics," Musk said in an interview. "Physics allows you to use first principles to reason, rather than using analogies. So let's see how we can consider this problem using first principles. How are rockets made? Aerospace-grade aluminum alloy, along with some titanium, copper, and carbon fiber. Then I would ask, how much are these materials worth in the commodity market? It turns out that the raw material cost is about 2% of the typical rocket price. Musk decided to establish his own company, using inexpensive raw materials to build rockets instead of spending tens of millions of dollars to purchase ready-made ones. And that's how SpaceX was born. In just a few years, SpaceX slashed the cost of rocket launching to nearly 1/10, and it remained profitable. Musk, using first principles thinking, fundamentally solved the problem, changed the high-cost situation in the aerospace industry, and created a more efficient solution. From this case, you can see that first principles thinking is a thought process that involves simplifying a complex process to its most fundamental basics and then reconstructing it from the ground up. In theory, first principles thinking requires you to delve layer by layer until you reach the most fundamental facts. French philosopher and scientist René Descartes adopted this thinking method, now known as Cartesian doubt, which involves systematically doubting everything that can be doubted until only indubitable truths remain. Renowned fighter pilot and military strategist John Boyd demonstrated how to apply first principles thinking in practice through a thought experiment. Imagine you have the following three things: a motorboat, with a pair of skis at the back, a military tank, and a bicycle. Now, let's break down these items into their basic components. Motorboat, including an engine, hull, and a pair of skis. Tank, including metal tracks, steel armor plates, and a machine gun. Bicycle, including handlebars, wheels, chain, and a seat. What could you create using these components? One option is to combine the handlebars and seat from the bicycle, the metal tracks from the tank, and the engine and skis from the motorboat to create a snowmobile. This is a brief demonstration of the practical application of first principles thinking. It is a cyclic process of breaking down and reconstructing, first breaking the problem into core components and then combining these components in a more effective way, repeating the process. The example of the snowmobile also reflects another significant characteristic of first principles thinking, combining ideas from seemingly unrelated fields. A tank and a bicycle may seem unrelated, but their parts can be combined to create something entirely new, like a snowmobile. Many groundbreaking ideas throughout history have utilized first principles to break down things and then replace them with a more efficient solution. Let's take another example. The inventor of the printing press, Johannes Gutenberg. He combined the screw press technology used in the winemaking industry with movable type, paper, and ink to invent the printing press. Movable type printing had existed for centuries before Gutenberg, but he was the first to think about the various components of this process and apply technologies from entirely different fields, significantly improving printing efficiency. It was a revolutionary invention that, for the first time in history, enabled widespread dissemination of information. Describing first principles thinking is easy, but in practice, it is challenging. One of the main obstacles to applying first principles thinking is that people often tend to focus on form rather than function. The following story about a suitcase illustrates this point well. In ancient Rome, soldiers used leather messenger bags and backpacks to carry food while riding horses. During the same era, there were various wheeled vehicles in ancient Rome, such as two-wheeled chariots and four-wheeled horse-drawn carts. However, for thousands of years, no one had thought of combining leather bags with wheels. It wasn't until 1970 that Bernard Sadeau invented the first suitcase with wheels. At the time, he was at an airport, dragging his luggage, and happened to see a worker using a wheeled platform to move a very heavy machine. Inspired by this, Sadeau came up with the innovative combination of luggage and wheels. Throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, bags served specific purposes: backpacks for school, hiking backpacks for trekking, and travel bags for trips. It wasn't until 1938 that people thought of adding zippers to backpacks, and nylon backpacks were only introduced in 1967. Despite these improvements, the basic form of bags remained largely unchanged. These inventors focused on small changes within the established framework, and these so-called innovations were merely improvements within the existing model rather than advancements in core functionality. While everyone else was concentrating on how to make better-looking bags, in form, Sadeau was considering how to more efficiently pack and transport things, in function. The human tendency to imitate is the most common obstacle to applying first principles thinking. When most people envision the future, they often project existing patterns forward rather than abandoning these patterns to advance functionality. For example, some individuals criticize current technological developments by asking, "Why don't we have flying cars?" The truth is, we already have flying vehicles, and they are called airplanes. Those posing this question are overly focused on form, something that looks like a flying car, and overlook the actual functionality, transportation through flight. This illustrates the true meaning of Elon Musk's statement that people often live in a world of analogies. It's essential to be wary of inherent thinking patterns. Old customs and previous models are often more readily accepted, but once embraced, they can limit your creativity. This is a key distinction between iterative improvement thinking and first principles thinking. Iterative improvement often occurs within the boundaries set by existing thinking. In contrast, first principles thinking requires you to let go of attachment to established thinking patterns and prioritize functionality at the forefront. What is the purpose you want to achieve? What functionality do you hope to accomplish? Optimize functionality, ignore form. That's the secret to learning how to think independently. Creating cutting-edge ideas follows the optimal path of breaking down things layer by layer to the most fundamental facts. Conversely, even if you don't have innovative ideas, applying first principles thinking to analyze your field is a wise and efficient approach. Without a firm grasp of these fundamentals, you will have no chance in the elite-level competition where success or failure is determined by details. Every innovation, especially revolutionary ones, requires extensive iteration and improvement. As mentioned at the beginning of the article, SpaceX underwent numerous simulations, thousands of adjustments, and multiple experiments before finding a cost-effective way to build reusable rockets. First principles thinking does not negate the need for continuous improvement, it merely changes the direction of improvement. In conclusion, if you want to enhance an existing process or mindset, continuous improvement is a great choice. If you want to learn how to think independently, then first principles thinking is your best method. Well, that's it for today. Until next time.